Technique 3 concerns the inner mentor, levels of consciousness, and the formation of the perceptual bridge. As we begin to comprehend the true structure of multidimensional anatomy, with its Kathara Grid, Hoover bodies and shields, diodic points and levels of bioenergetic substance, we can begin to see that there is much more to human consciousness than meets the eye, much more energy identity operating presently beyond the view of our three-dimensionally focused earthly personality. There are portions of our consciousness stationed within the Hoover bodies of the higher dimensional fields, and these expanded levels of ourselves hold knowledge and participate in perceptual experience beyond the usual range of our waking perceptions. As we evolve and expand through Hoover body integration and the resulting activation of dormant DNA components, we will progressively have greater conscious access to these expanded levels of consciousness while we are actively focused within the waking, three-dimensionally embodied state. However, we do not have to wait until our evolution plods along to bring us to these expanded perceptual states. We can, from our waking state of three-dimensional consciousness, begin to actively tap this hidden reservoir of knowledge and perceptual experience. We can take an active hand in expediting the process of our multidimensional evolution by using our Dimension 3 mental body awareness to direct our higher awareness into our current range of perception. This way, we begin to build a perceptual bridge between our third-dimensional and higher dimensional consciousness. In taking the initiative for building this bridge of consciousness, we begin to stimulate our higher senses into operation, expediting the natural process of higher identity integration. Through building such a perceptual bridge between our present state of awareness and the levels of our consciousness stationed in the higher dimensional Hoover bodies, we can actively expedite our own biospiritual evolution. The higher dimensional levels of human consciousness are not dormant within their respective dimensional bands of function. They are quite awake and aware within their own dimensional fields. As we perceive and interact with the three-dimensional world within which our present awareness is focused, the higher dimensional portions of our consciousness are also actively perceiving and interacting with the dimensional environments within which they are focused. Higher dimensional aspects of our awareness only seem cut off from our perceptual view because our consciousness is presently focused through a genetic code arrangement and Kathara Grid orientation that blocks out the frequencies of those higher stations of identity. If we can realize that expanded portions of our consciousness simultaneously exist within the higher dimensional frequency bands, we can also realize that it is possible to access such levels of our own identity by building perceptual bridges between our three-dimensional perspective and the portions of our consciousness stationed within the higher dimensional Hoover bodies. We can begin to build a perceptual bridge between ourselves and our higher selves by using simple frequency modulation techniques of Kathara healing. In this scalar grid activating exercise, we will awaken dormant party-key phasing flash lines and activate dormant portions of the Kathara lines in the Kathara 12-tree grid to begin opening the channels of communication between the consciousness focused within the Nada Hoover body and that focused within the Alphi Hoover body of Harmonic 2. In this exercise, we will create the mentor, a portion of our consciousness composed of third, fourth, and fifth dimensional frequencies that will serve as an intermediary focus of awareness through which we can begin to receive guidance and knowledge from our second harmonic of consciousness. Creating the mentor will begin the process of activating dormant DNA, opening new nerve networks within the central nervous system of the three-dimensional body, and activating dormant apartheid frequency receivers within the Level 2 Crystal Seal's Kathara Grid. Through creating the mentor, we begin to build a perceptual bridge between the first and second harmonic of our conscious awareness. The mentor is a portion of our identity that we create to serve as an intermediary focus of awareness between the Nada Hoover body and the Alpha Hoover body, a perceptual bridge between our first and second harmonics of consciousness. Before we begin the technique, we'll comment on the relationship between the mentor and Kathara healing and its other uses. In the practices of Kathara healing, we use the mentor as a source of guidance, information retrieval, objective observation, and as a communications link between our own higher consciousness and the higher levels of consciousness in those who come to us for healing facilitation. Awakening and working with the mentor will become a standard practice in our applications of Kathara healing. In creating the mentor, we are using our creative power of scalar grid manifestation, the use of thoughts and mental images as scalar grid morphogenetic field forms, to bring into being a specialized portion of our consciousness that can relay frequency from our higher harmonics of consciousness to our three-dimensionally focused identity. With repeated use of the mentor focus of awareness, we will develop the ability to simultaneously hold two harmonics of consciousness, and we will begin to reclaim the natural flexibility of focus that is the healthful condition of embodied human consciousness. Through the mentor focus of attention, we can reach higher levels of cognition and understanding regarding application of healing facilitation, and we will more rapidly call into awakening the higher sense facilities of the 15-dimensional anatomy. In creating the mentor focus, we will begin to realize that even the three-dimensional focus of awareness with which we are most familiar is far more flexible than we might once have supposed. The mentor is not simply an inert creation, but rather a living portion of our conscious identity, composed of portions of the waking self and portions of the higher self. So mentor can become an advisor, a portion of self able to keep its head above the illusion when you are confronted with challenging events in the three-dimensional arena. A part of you able to remain calm, focused, and able to make clear decisions beyond the confusion of mental or emotional body processing. Your mentor can be sent into the cellular memory of the body to locate core issues or reincarnational blockages, and can serve to moderate between sub-personality fragments and the inner child. Your mentor can likewise be used to harmonize communications between yourself and others, as you can send the mentor focus into a higher dimensional field to connect with the higher selves of others for conflict resolution. Playing with the mentor focus can also have great rewards. You can focus your attention in the mentor space and then direct the mentor across the room to begin practicing effects of bilocation. You can travel with the mentor to distant locations to develop remote viewing skills, which will be used in later Kathara healing levels for remote healing. Your mentor can also become a vehicle for conscious transport of your awareness while awake, as well as in the dream state, and for higher dimensional projection applications.